Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another Manchester United live news update show on the Alice Talks Football channel, where we actually have lots and lots to talk about, surprisingly. Normally during the international break, I'm sort of scraping the barrel for content, trying to find enough to talk about in an hour and doing streams every other day. But this international break, the news has been coming crazy. And there's a lot to talk about. Zidane, Brendan Rodgers, Ten Hag, situations at Manchester United, player fallouts, people accusing people of bullying. There's so many topics to talk about that I can't wait to discuss in today's video and share the news with you guys. And because some quite exciting news, some quite promising news, and some quite news where I'm like, is this a PR spin? Is this real? And I want to tell you what the news is, where it's been reported from, have some conversation about it. Is this true? How we feel about it? And all of that. So do make sure you smash a like on the video if you have not already. And also, we're 2 subscribers away from 23.4k. We're on 23,398 subscribers. So if you're watching right now and you're not subscribed, please do subscribe, because I like to hit that 23.4k by the end of the live stream, and I'm sure we will. Anyway, but I want to get straight into the content. I want to get straight into the news. And you've probably seen by the thumbnail that Brendan Rodgers has privately been confirmed that he's going to be Manchester United's next manager, apparently. Well, this is what is being said, that this was a news article, I think, came out from Samuel Luckhurst or the Manchester Evening News, and they said that United have privately sort of agreed that Brendan Rodgers will be the next manager. They want Brendan Rodgers, and they believe that OLE should be sacked. Now, this is the news sort of coming out. Other reports are saying that there's contact with Brendan Rodgers. There's obviously the whole Zidane situation as well. And while I'm trying to ignore the Zidane news, because I think the Rodgers news is somewhat credible, I think the Rodgers news is somewhat likely to happen, and I just think there's a lot more reliability, and it's more likely that Man United are going to get Rodgers than Zidane. I will talk about the Zidane news later in the video, but for me, I do personally believe the sort of more news on Brendan Rodgers. Do I believe it 100%? No, because I'm Manchester United. We're used to PR spins, we're used to leaks. But I'm going to tell you what's been said, what's my thoughts on that, and all of that. So do smash a like on the video if you have not already, and do subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on Brendan Rodgers in the live chat, by the way, guys, because he's a bit of a controversial manager, ex-Liverpool. But right now, I would trade Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for Brendan Rodgers. I do not care if Brendan Rodgers is ex-Liverpool or not. I would 100% trade Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for Brendan Rodgers, because Brendan Rodgers, I think, was at Swansea, he did quite well. Then he was at Liverpool, he did decent, to be fair, with that Liverpool squad. It was a Gerrard slip of winning the title for Liverpool. He's done decent at Leicester. I think was it Celtic or Rangers? I'm going to say Celtic. He did pretty decent. Like, Brendan Rodgers is a good manager. Is he the Conte that we kind of dreamed of after the Liverpool game? No. But he's a good manager, and he's a significant improvement on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I know a lot of people aren't Brendan Rodgers' biggest fans, but I say this now with quite confidence. If we are going to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it'll be someone like Brendan Rodgers or Poch. Zidane, I don't believe is going to happen. There's a lot of Zidane news, and I will talk about the Zidane news. I just listened to Fabrizio Romano, and Fabrizio Romano doesn't seem confident anything happening between Zidane and United. Obviously, we know Fabrizio Romano said originally Conte in the summer rejected Spurs. Conte's now at Spurs. Zidane right now could not be interested in Manchester United, but he could be in a week's time. Manager situations are always subject to change. But personally, sitting here right now, I will say there's nothing really going on with Zidane to United. But I will talk about the news and all of that. But I'm interested to see people's thoughts on that. Liverpool fans going to banter us to death. I don't think Liverpool fans will banter us to death, because they'll see a Man United squad that is good enough to win the title, and they'll see a Brendan Rodgers who they know is a good manager, and they'll go, oh shit, like, we want them to have Ole. Ole's the biggest banter manager in the Premier League. Although, Liverpool could be like Liverpool rejects and all of that. If Manchester United have Brendan Rodgers as manager and Manchester United have Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as manager, people are going to think, oh, Brendan Rodgers, like, he's a decent manager. We are being laughed at for having Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as manager. We are Banter FC, but solely because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is our manager. We're not Banter FC because we got a shit squad. We're Banter FC because people are calling us Ronaldo FC. Even I call us, in the Champions League, we're Ronaldo FC. In the Premier League, we've been De Gea FC. We are now Banter FC because Arsenal are above us. The actual Banter FC is playing better football than us and above us. And so I don't really care about Liverpool fans laughing at us if we get Brendan Rodgers, because the fact that they're singing Ole at the wheel, they're laughing at us now. And I think, if anything, Ole's, the banter manager. Our coaching is awful. Exactly. It's like saying the sky's blue. We need managers like Zidane. Look, I think we need a bit more personality in the squad. I will get into news, by the way, guys, because that's what you're John for. But I do think we need a little bit more personality in the squad. And I think there's a lot of people in the squad, and I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer involved, where they don't have the mentality of an elite winner. And you're thinking, Ole won the Champions League, you won the treble. What do you mean? But he's nice. There's too many nice characters, can't take criticism. In the United dressing room, we like Ole, he's nice, he's happy, it's all good. No. You need that Roy Keane mentality where you want to be like, I want to win this. I want to win that. Bish, bash, bosh. I think that's what you need. But let's get into the news because I've just blabbed on for 6-7 minutes. What has been said? So first of all, Graham Bailey, a journalist that I'm not 100% familiar with, so I'm just going to call him a 50-50 journalist. We'll put him in tier 2. Has said that Brendan Rodgers is ready to say yes to Manchester United about replacing Solskjaer as manager. Apparently, according to Graham Bailey, now there's loads of news about Brendan Rodgers, and I'm going to talk about what Samuel Luckhurst and the Manchester Evening News says because they are decent sources of information, the Manchester Evening News. But first of all, Graham Bailey says that Rodgers will say yes to Manchester United. He's ready to say yes to Manchester United and is ready to replace Solskjaer as Manchester United manager. That came out earlier today. Now, what Samuel Luckhurst said, and I think this is the really sort of interesting thing, and for me, Samuel Luckhurst, could he be part of a PR spin, media journalist? 100%, yes, British, you know what I mean? He's come out and said, and he's generally a pretty credible journalist, has said that Manchester United have started their succession planning to replace Solskjaer as manager, with Brendan Rodgers their preferred candidate. United have privately decided a change of manager will be required following the defeats to Liverpool and Manchester City. Now, Samuel Luckhurst is a British journalist, and he's very obvious he gets information from Manchester United, information from the club. And he said apparently Manchester United are actually in the midst of looking for a manager to replace Solskjaer right now. And apparently Manchester United have actually privately decided they're going to make Brendan Rodgers their next manager. They've chosen that Brendan Rodgers privately will be their next manager. And they've chosen that Solskjaer needs to be sacked at some point or not following his defeats to Liverpool or Manchester City. So he's saying, and this could be PR spin because he does get information from the club, but he's saying after Liverpool and after City finished, United have privately said, look, we need to sack Solskjaer at some point, and they've privately agreed we need Brendan Rodgers in, basically saying, we want to get rid of Ole and get Brendan Rodgers in. But the question is, when will we get rid of Ole and when will we get Brendan Rodgers in? That is the question. If this is true, when's Ole going and when's Rodgers coming in? Because we're being told from multiple journalists that Brendan Rodgers is ready to say yes to the job. Brendan Rodgers has a Champions League release clause, so we can get out of Leicester easily. Brendan Rodgers will happily join Manchester United, and apparently Manchester United have decided they're going to sack Ole. But then we're also being told the reason Man United haven't sacked Ole yet is because we can't find a suitable replacement. So some of this news massively contradicts itself. 1 minute it's like, well, we don't know what's going to happen because we can't find a replacement for Ole, and the next minute it's like Brendan Rodgers wait for the job. Zidane's waiting for the job. But I think that article's really, really interesting. And I think that's, it's a sign of positivity. We're in the international break. I'm going to take any news and I'm going to cling on to it. I want Ole gone. I want Ole out. I'm going to take any news and cling on to it. And I'm going to pray to God that's not a PR spin. Samuel Luckhurst did follow it up by saying, it's still unclear when Manchester United intend to sack Solskjaer as they mull over an arrival time for replacement. A senior club source has indicated Solskjaer could remain manager to the end of the season amid a lack of replacements. And this is where it contradicts himself. So Samuel Luckhurst is saying United have decided privately they are going to sack Solskjaer at some point. Man United have decided privately that Brendan Rodgers is the man to come replace Solskjaer. But apparently Manchester United haven't sacked Solskjaer yet and might not sack him to the end of the season because they think there's no one there, right now available to replace Solskjaer. So basically, let's completely translate that into what does this mean? United want Brendan Rodgers, but they're only going to sack Ole unless they have to sack Ole. Because for United to get Brendan Rodgers, they have to pay Ole money when they sack him, compensation, and they have to pay Rodgers release clause. Man United want to sack Ole, but they're going to see if they can ride it out to the end of the season and see if Ole can get top 4 at the end of the season, because that means that it's just easier to get a new manager in. I think that's the situation. I think Ole either gets sacked and Brendan Rodgers comes right in, bish, bash, bosh in the next couple of weeks, or United are just going to wait until top 4 is mathematically impossible to then sack Ole and get Brendan Rodgers in. And what I say to this news and what I think about this news is, I'm thinking, okay, well, surely if you've identified who you want as your next manager at Manchester United, if Man United have identified who they want as their next manager, and that's Brendan Rodgers, you're Manchester United. You're not Swansea. You're not a smaller club. You're Manchester United. If you're United and you want a manager, you get them. We are the bosses in football, not in the transfer market, not in the intelligence world, because the people that run our club are imbeciles. But we are the bosses in football. We are United. We're the biggest club in the world. We should be able to get what we want. We should be like Manchester City. We should be like Chelsea. If we want something, we're going to get it. So why aren't we doing that? Why are we making excuses that no one's available and that's why we kept OLE when our first choice Rodgers apparently wants the job? I sit here and I go, Manchester United, you know what? It's an absolute disgrace of a club from time to time. It's an embarrassingly run club. And sometimes I sit as a United fan and I go, just get Ten Hag, Brendan Rodgers, whoever the F you want in. Because even if they're not ready to leave their clubs now, you're Man United, you have the money, you've got the power, you've got the players, you've got the status. If you throw some money at someone, they'll come to Manchester United. We can get anyone we want if we really put our mind to it. But the reason we don't get people we want is because of the board, because of the owners. They're not convincing. And I think that is a big, big problem at Manchester United. But Manchester Evening News said that Manchester United higher-ups are impressed by Erik Ten Hag, Luis Enrique, but Brendan Rodgers has been personally identified as who is most suitable to be the successor to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So the Manchester Evening News again is saying that we like Enrique, Ten Hag, and Brendan Rodgers. But however, they say Brendan Rodgers is most likely, and he's the number one target to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with. That's come out. And obviously, as I said earlier, a senior source has indicated that Solskjaer could remain manager to the end of the season as United can't find a suitable replacement. So what's coming out at the moment? The news that's coming out is apparently we want to sack Solskjaer. Apparently Manchester United decided after the Manchester City game it's time for Solskjaer to go. But the reason we haven't sacked Solskjaer is because we don't feel like there's a reasonable replacement out there. United want him gone, but apparently they don't feel like there's a reasonable replacement out there. When Rangnick wanted the job and we turned down Rangnick because we thought Rangnick would be hard to work with. Conte wanted the job. We turned down Conte because we thought it'd be hard to work with. So it's not that Manchester United can't find a suitable replacement. Rangnick and Conte would both be significant improvements on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Manchester United, unfortunately, are in a situation where they just want to not sack Ole until they know that the next manager that comes in is going to have no more power than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's going to be a yes man. It's not going to demand change. It's not going to demand lots of money. And that, I think, is exactly what Manchester United are doing. And they want to see how long they can stick with Solskjaer before it gets too bad. And, you know, because you're thinking it's bad now and everyone's laughing at us. Every single club is laughing at us, going, oh, he's at the wheel, he's at the wheel. Why haven't they sacked Solskjaer? Because right now, everything Ole's done in the last 2 months is sackable. Leicester, Liverpool, Manchester City, sackable. The Atalanta performance, despite us getting a result, it was a sackable performance. It's not just the results, it's the performances that are sackable. And the results have been worse than Norwich, and Norwich sacked their manager. Villa have got a home win at Old Trafford more recently than us, and Villa have sacked our manager. The fact that we haven't sacked our manager is showing how incompetent the board is and how inefficient the board is, but also people are laughing at us. People are absolutely laughing at us, going, what a joke club, not sacked Ole, because apparently there's no one available. There's no one available. The reason apparently United want Ole gone, apparently United decided after the Manchester City game, we want Ole gone, but apparently there's no one available. There was Conte available after Liverpool, and he's gone to Spurs. Conte would have chosen Manchester United over Spurs any day of the week. Look at our squad. Look at Spurs' squad. We are Manchester United. They are Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham Hotspur might finish above us now this season with Conte, and we've got Ole. Ralph Rangnick, a good manager again. Manchester United turned down Ralph Rangnick because they believed he'd be hard to work with. And reportedly, Brendan Rodgers is ready to say yes to the Manchester United job. Now, I don't know how true that is because that's from Graham Bailey. I don't know how credible a journalist he is. But United have identified that Solskjaer needs to be sacked and have put Rodgers as their first choice replacement for Solskjaer, but they might wait till the end of the season to get Rodgers. Then it's absolutely crazy because I guarantee you all we need to do is play Brendan Rodgers' release clause because he wants to come to Manchester United. Apparently, Brendan Rodgers likes Manchester United. So all Manchester United need to do is play Brendan Rodgers' release clause and get him in. But what does that involve? Money, money, money. What do United like? Money, money, money in their bloody pockets, not spent on improvements to the club. And actually, I want to read out something Fabrizio Romano tweet, guys. I want to read this out to you. Fabrizio Romano quoted Ed Woodward. This is Ed Woodward's statement on the Manchester United Q1 accounts, guys. Listen to this. Listen to this. Ed Woodward said this. While these financial results demonstrate our resilience through the pandemic, our top priority is success on the pitch. The managers, players, everyone at the club are determined to achieve that objective. What a load of bull. Ed Woodward's come out and said, the finance is good during the pandemic, but our top priority is the success on the pitch. How can Woodward come out right now, today, and say Manchester United's top priority is their success on the pitch when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still sitting there as Manchester United manager, despite them having a 2-week international break to sack him. The fact that a world-class manager, Antonio Conte, was begging for the job. Absolutely begging for the job. We have the players. We are underperforming. The results are shocking. We should be in a title race this season. Yet we've employed a manager that's letting us sit in 6th place right now. We're sitting in 6th place behind West Ham, behind Arsenal, and we've still got that manager, despite other good managers being available. Ralph Ragnick, Antonio Conte was available, and Ed Woodward's come up publicly and said Manchester United's top priority is success on the pitch. Honestly, I can bet his nose it's gone all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. His nose must have grown so big after that lie that you can feel it in New York from bloody Manchester or wherever he's sitting in his big fat mansion. I looked at it and I actually laughed. I actually laughed that Ed Woodward said that. You can't say we want success on the pitch when Ole's our manager, because as much as I like Ole and as much as I want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to succeed at Manchester United, watching the performances, watching the way we're playing, looking at that coaches, I fully believe there's no chance of Manchester United winning any successful trophies under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because the players don't play for him, the tactics don't work. The fact that McFred are playing every week pretty much says it all. I look at it and I go, we are not going to be successful under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And our Ed Woodward is coming out and saying that Man United's priority is success on the pitch. Because if that was true, Ole wouldn't be manager. I mean, if that was true, we'd have new owners. We wouldn't have the bloody Glazers. And I thought it was an absolute disgrace, honestly. I just looked at it and I laughed. Honestly, I just thought it was an absolute joke. I don't know if you guys read that quote, but I thought it was an absolute joke. Is fake Zidane will be manager? Brendan Rodgers is 10 times more likely to become Manchester United manager than Zidane. Gaz says Ed Woodward is a potato. Yeah, the Glazers are the rats and Woodward's the potato. Honestly, Woodward's probably one of those. He's not just a potato, Ed Woodward. He's one of those horrible boiled ones with the skin on that have no flavour, have no taste, and you can't put gravy on. That's what kind of potato Ed Woodward is. SM says, for me, it's not the results, it's the reasons behind them. Some mistakes made from Ole time and time again. He never learns, he never rotates despite injury. And look, we will talk a bit more about Brendan Rodgers in a second, so stay tuned for that. But you're 100% right. It's the thing with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I think one of the reasons a lot of the fans are Ole out is, I know the results are bad at Manchester United, but when you watch Manchester United, do we play good football, guys? No. Even I was Ole in last season. I said, look, I know we've won the Europa League, but we got second in the league. I never thought we'd get second in the league. It has been our sort of best domestic season in a while. So I was Ole in last season. But even last season, me in the summer being Ole in, and if you were watching my videos in the summer, I even said, look, I'm Ole in right now, but if he continues playing shit football with McFred, now he's been given Varane, now he's been given Ronaldo, now he's been given Jadon Sancho, I will be Ole out. And he's continued playing shit football with McFred, not really playing any of the new signings, and surprise, surprise, I'm Ole out, because we knew a year ago that McFred was not sustainable. We knew a year ago that the football Ole was playing wasn't sustainable. And we thought maybe Ole needs a CDM and a centre-back to play this elite football. And now he's got Varane in. And you're thinking, you've got Varane at the back. Varane's a solid centre-back. He doesn't need that McFred protection. He's still playing McFred when we've got Varane. And Varane's playing. Obviously, Varane's not playing all the time because he's injured. I thought, all right, that's a bit weird. But you've got to remember, we have the worst home defensive record in the league. No team has conceded more goals at home than Manchester United. No team has made less tackles, less interceptions, and won less duels than Manchester United. Yet, despite those statistics, McFred are starting week in, week out on the pivot, despite all the statistics against them, because they protect the defence. If McFred really protected the defence, we wouldn't have the worst home defensive record in the league. McFred wouldn't be ranked 19th and 20th for tackles won and duels won out of all the set defensive midfielders in the Premier League. The fact that Manchester United statistically have the ranked 20th, 19th, 18th and 17th for all the defensive midfield stats in the Premier League highlights statistically there's stats to back up the fact that McTominay and Fred aren't good enough. But also, it's not about the stats. It's about the eye test. We watched Manchester United and we watched that midfield get overrun. Now, I'm not saying that Matic and Pogba are much better than McTominay and Fred. I think whoever we play in midfield gets overrun. But the very few times I've seen Donny and Matic in a pivot, I've actually seen United play the ball quite nicely, control the game. With McTominay and Fred, it's like having just people running around, not really knowing what they're doing and trying to get the ball. It's like little boys playing against men. That's how it feels. And I think the reason a lot of people are Ole out is because they're like, so we start on McFred versus Liverpool. We lose 5-0 to Liverpool. Yet we all know that Muckfred is going to start versus Manchester City. Any other team, if Manchester City lost 5-0 to Liverpool and they had Manchester United the next week, do you think Manchester City, do you think Pep Guardiola would have started 10 of the same players? Let's say Liverpool beat Man City 5-0 at the Etihad. Do you think Pep Guardiola would only drop, let's say, Raheem Sterling from that squad when he goes to Old Trafford next week? Absolutely not. If Manchester City lost 5-0 to Liverpool, Pep would drop at least 5 players. If Manchester City lost 5-0 to Liverpool, Pep would drop at least 5 players for next week's fixture against Manchester United. But Ole, he only drops Rashford, and he drops Rashford for Bailly. So I don't even see it as Rashford being dropped. I just see Ole going more defensive versus Manchester City because he's thinking about not conceding 5. He's thinking, oh, we've only conceded 2. I won't be sacked unless I concede 5. And I think that is why so many people Ole out, because the performance versus Manchester City, as I said time and time again, was absolutely atrocious. I mean, absolutely embarrassingly atrocious. I mean, we've had more shots against David De Gea than our own goalkeeper. Like, that was a disgrace in itself. But the performance was disgraceful. The fact that 10 of the players that lost 5-0 to Liverpool were starting in the next home game against Manchester City and rewarded with a start despite the performance. Under Sir Alex Ferguson, and Owen Hargreaves said that. Owen Hargreaves, I think, said this after the Wolves game. And he said if Fred had put that performance in under Sir Alex Ferguson, you wouldn't see him on the pitch for at least a month. He said if McTominay had put those performances under Sir Alex Ferguson, you wouldn't have seen him on the pitch for a month. But with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it doesn't matter how bad your performances are. You start the next game. And that is why Ole's not going to be an elite manager. You start the next game. We know, like, if we're going to predict the Watford lineup right now, despite Watford being 17th in the Premier League right now, despite Watford not being a good side, and you're thinking, okay, any team that's meant to be in a title race this season, or any top 4 team would go to Watford and try and beat them 5-0. Right now, any team in the top 4 would go to Watford, try and beat them 5-0. We know that Manchester United are going to go to Watford. If we're going to predict what's going to happen, most of us are going to predict we're going to go to Watford, we're going to play McTominay and Fred, and we're absolutely going to park the bus. And that is disgraceful from our manager. If we go into that Watford game with Muckfred starting, he might as well be sacked before the game, because Muckfred is cost you versus Liverpool and cost you versus Manchester City. Manchester United's worst performances in my lifetime have been Liverpool and Manchester City in the last 2 weeks. Who has started in both those games? McTominay, Fred, Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire. Drop at least 3 of the 4 players I've named, because 3 of those 4 players must be dropped because they are not being good enough. Now, I know they won't be, but that is why a lot of fans are turning on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I think that's the problem, because we all know that Muckfred isn't the way. And it's not just like we're anti-McTominay and Fred. Look, if McTominay and Fred if we were winning every game, if we were top of the Premier League right now and we won every game this season and Muckfred has started every game this season, I'd be all over Muckfred. But the fact that we're losing, and the fact that we're losing and Muckfred is the weakness, is why we're not for Muckfred. Paul says, come on, guys, let's get 500 likes. Please smash that like button if you have not already. Let's get to 500 likes by the end of the live stream. It absolutely costs nothing to hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed to Alice Talks Football, please do subscribe down below. The international break is pretty much over. Finally. No more international break till March, guys. That deserves a like in itself. No more international breaks till March. That deserves a like in itself. But yes, if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe to Alice Talks Football, because we're going to be live over the weekend for the Manchester United versus Watford watch along, a match reaction, and Friday will be a match preview to the game. So lots and lots of content up on the channel. And as I said earlier, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job apparently is not safe. There's lots of reports coming out in the Manchester Evening News, and Samuel Luckhurst said that Manchester United have privately decided that Ole should be sacked after the Manchester City defeat, and Brendan Rodgers has been identified as the man they want to replace Ole with. And so they don't know when Ole's going to be sacked. They said Ole could be here to the end of the season. I don't think he will be. I don't think Ole's going to make it to Christmas, because I can see us having another few shit games, and I can see us getting so bad that the Glazers are forced to sack Ole. And I just don't think Ole's going to be here in 2022. I just can't see him turning it around because he's stubborn. If Ole was a manager that tried something new and played new players, I think, okay, maybe Ole would turn it around. But because Ole as a manager doesn't try anything new, doesn't give new players a chance, I don't think he's going to turn around. If someone told me right now that Ole was going to go into the Watford game, he's going to play a 4-3-3 attacking, one-touch, quick play football with Donny and Matic, he's going to drop Muckfred forever, I'd say he could maybe save his job, but I say he would need new coaches to save his job. I think he's past that. Ole ain't saving his job, because I know it's going to be Muckfred versus Watford. He ain't saving his job with Muckfred. Muckfred are losing him his job. Like, it's just facts. And I think Ole will be gone by Christmas. So what I was saying is, to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, do subscribe as well, because I guarantee you, I don't think Ole will be here by Christmas. I guarantee you there's going to be a lot more updates on Rodgers, Zidane, Pochettino, maybe potential other candidates as well. So do subscribe for that. But yes, smash a like on the video, guys. It only takes 1 second to hit that like button, and it costs absolutely nothing. So as Paul says, can we get to 500 likes by the end of the video? Crazy ass, but there's over 400 watching. So if all of you guys smash a like, hopefully we should do that. Henry says Ole has never been an elite coach. Sir Alex and Gary Neville are protecting Ole. At this rate, United will turn into Newcastle. Look, hopefully we won't turn into Newcastle. Actually, well, they did get Saudi owners, so, you know, it could go down to go up. But I agree. Ole's never been an elite coach. And I think, you know, come the summer, finishing second, when people, because a lot of people were Ole out in the summer. I said he's finished second. Let him get back this transfer window. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. No one thought we were going to finish second a year ago, blah, blah, blah. So we finished second on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer last year. I was Ole in. But even then, when we finished second and I was Ole in, I knew we weren't an elite manager. But I was like, let's just see what he does with his elite squad. So he gets Ronaldo, he gets Varane, he gets Sancho, and he's now got a squad that should be winning trophies. And Manchester United are massively underperforming. And that's where I'm like, okay, you know what? Ole ain't the man. And Ole reminds me of Frank Lampard. And I've said this 1,000 times. If you watch my videos, you'll be like, Alice is saying this again. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer 100,000,000% reminds me of Frank Lampard. Because what Ole is he's done a really good job in taking us from point C to point B. Point C being a dead squad that, you know, needs some changes to get top four, is way off top four. And, you know, he built the squad. So he's done a good job in point C. Point B is getting us into a squad, that's good enough to challenge for titles. Ole, like Lampard, took over a pretty average squad that wasn't really nailed on top four squad. It needed some changes, got them top four 2 seasons in a row, brought in the right players, sold a lot of the deadwood, and now he's got a team that needs to win a title. And now he's got a team where people look at and go, they need a Premier League, they need a Champions League. Just like Chelsea, Frank Lampard did a good job in his first season at Chelsea. You got Havertz, you got Werner, you got Thiago Silva. You looked at that Chelsea squad and they went, they got to win the Premier League, they got to win the Champions League. Frank Lampard was massively underachieving. Lampard got sacked because if Chelsea had stayed on the Lampard, maybe he could have turned it around, but it didn't look like he would. They were going to go back to point C. So Lampard got sacked, they got Tuchel and they went to point A. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for me is exactly the same as Frank Lampard. Because if we stay with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, we're going back to point C. Because if we stick with Ole, this team's going to need a rebuild again in the summer. So this team that we've just built, to win a title, instead of winning the title, we fail with the team we've built that's good enough to win a title, and we go back into a rebuild because Cavani retires, Pogba leaves on a 3, Matic retires, Donny wants out, Martial wants out, and you're looking at replacing all these players. And that's why I'm Ole out. It took us from point C to point B. But if we stick with Ole, we go back to point C. If you replace Ole with an elite manager, you could go to point A. When Chelsea sat Lampard, they went to point A. Now, obviously, a new manager coming in doesn't guarantee we're going to win the Premier League. It doesn't guarantee that we're going to win the Champions League. Because I'll say this, and I'll say this 100 times. I'll say this 1,000 times. Manchester United need new owners to guarantee success. No matter, like, Sir Alex Ferguson could come out of retirement and manage this Manchester United squad right now. And I believe Sir Alex Ferguson would get a trophy if he with this Manchester United squad right now. Do you know what I mean? But you just don't know if a manager's ever going to succeed at Manchester United. I know that Brendan Rodgers would be a significant improvement on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I know Zidane would be. I know Conte would be. But even if we bring in a new manager, we can't guarantee that United are going to win the Premier League. We can't guarantee we're going to win the Champions League because the owners at Manchester United are an absolute disgrace. The owners said, look, if we get a new manager in, we ain't giving them any money in January. If you get a new manager in and you're meant to be in a title race and you're saying we've got a new manager in, we could maybe actually get back into this title race if we brought a CDM. Any club that had ambitious owners would be buying CDM. If Sheikh Mansour managed Manchester United right now, if Roman Abramovich was owner of Manchester United right now, they would have sacked Ole, they would have got a new manager in, and I guarantee you we'd be looking at Tchouaméni, Kessie, doing anything in January to get a CDM in because they wouldn't give up on that title race. Manchester United in November have gone, okay, we can get back in a title race if we get a new manager. But Manchester United have decided, instead of trying to get back in the title race and getting a new manager, Manchester United sat here and actually just decided, you know what, we don't care. We just don't care at all. Whatever, we'll be in a top 4 race in November, blah, blah, blah. That's the situation at Manchester United right now, and it's absolute disgrace, guys. And if you agree with me, smash a like on the video. If you want Glazers out, smash that like button. We are going for 500 likes, so do smash that like button. Paul says we're Manchester United. We do what we want. We should be able to do what we want, and we should be able to sack Ole and get elite manager in and all of that. But smash a like on the video if you're Glazers out. Let's go for 500 likes. Alex Ferguson sold players who lacked motivation. Exactly. And Alex Ferguson was a great man management. And there's a lot of players at Manchester United that I think need to be sold. And there's a lot of players at Manchester United that I think should be playing that will probably end up being sold. Again, which is embarrassing. I felt sorry for Donny last night when Holland qualified. You know what I did as well, actually? And I thought about talking about this earlier, and then I forgot to write it down. So thank you for saying that. Donny van de Beek, when he came to Manchester United, guys, and you're probably fed up, Donny this or Donny that. We always talk about poor Donny. But no, on a serious note, Donny van de Beek, before he came to Manchester United, was a nailed-on starter for the Netherlands. He was an absolute nailed-on start for the Netherlands. He was a starter. He wasn't just nailed on in the squad. He was a starter. He was in the top 20 Ballon d'Or names. He was wanted by Real Madrid. He was wanted by Barcelona. And Barcelona were good when they wanted Van de Beek. You know, Donny van de Beek was wanted by the world. He was a Ballon d'Or nominee. He just got to a UCL semi-final of Ajax. He was only 21, 22 at the time, and he was one of their best players in the campaign. Donny van de Beek was absolutely fucking incredible. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer rings up Donny van de Beek and convinces him to come to Manchester United, saying, I want you, I want you, I want you. You know, Donny van de Beek comes to Manchester United. He doesn't play a little bit at the beginning, and we're like, oh, maybe he's got a bulk up, get used to the league. And then we see the people playing in Donny's positions, McTominay and Fred, playing bad game, bad game, bad game, bad game. I'm like, right, so why aren't we playing Donny? Then we go, surely, you know, maybe next summer Donny's going to start playing. We see Donny brilliant in pre-season. We saw Donny start last game of the season versus Wolves. Brilliant. We saw Donny playing in the pivot. We saw Ole coming out and saying that Donny can play in the pivot. We're like, oh my God, finally, he's going to start playing Donny van de Beek in the pivot. He's bulked up. He's been really, really good in his last few matches. He got a man of the match in his last start, and he couldn't get minutes for 2 months after his man of the match performance. And he can only come off the bench for 5 minutes now. And it's not like Fred are playing brilliant, and it's not like we're winning every game. The fact that Manchester United are playing absolutely awful, and the same awful players are starting week in, week out, when little old Donny's actually been pretty good whenever he's played, is an absolute disgrace. It's an absolute bloody disgrace, guys. I sit there and I go, Donny van de Beek now probably sits on social media and sees the Dutch squad celebrating qualifying for the World Cup. That should be Donny. That should be Donny van de Beek with the Dutch squad. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's absolutely ruined his career. And I think it's not getting that much attention because Ollie's so protected by the likes of Gary Neville and stuff. And only the fans really are like responding to it. But that is absolutely disgraceful from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You know, he is meant to be a top player. Yet we're losing 5-0 to Liverpool, getting disgraced 2-0 at home to Manchester City. And you won't give him a minute. Absolute disgraceful, isn't it? Absolute disgraceful. Bob says we have many players not prepared to work hard enough for Manchester United. Our manager is too close to the players and is struggling to motivate his players, and his tactics are very poor. And that kind of links in. I think the reason a lot of players aren't playing for Ole is because they don't believe in his tactics. The fact that, I think this came from The Athletic as well, so it's a very credible source. There was a report just after the Liverpool defeat that and I think it was just before the Liverpool defeat maybe, that the Manchester United players didn't think the coaches were up to the standards to be here at Manchester United. There were a lot of leaked reports that a lot of the players at Manchester United did not believe in the coaches. They didn't think they were good enough. They were concerned that the coaches weren't particularly experienced. If your players don't 100% believe in the coaches, how can you guarantee that everything you do in the training ground is going to go straight into your players' head and they're going to perform on the pitch? You can't guarantee that. The players need to believe in the coaches and believe what the coaches are telling them to do is right for them to execute it on the pitch. Because if these players have doubts about the coaches, they're not going to do exactly what the coaches have told them to do on the pitch. They're not. And it just highlights, like, it's just an absolute disgrace at Manchester United. You can't motivate them if they don't believe in your tactics. The only way you can really motivate these players now is get some elite coaches in. Honestly, I sit there and I go, oh my. But fuck international, says Christopher. Look, guys, smash a like on the video because no more international break till March. No more international break till March. I mean, as a United fan, you know, is watching England better than watching Man United right now? Look, I don't like international break, but God, watching Manchester United right now is horrific with Ole in charge. But hopefully, Ole won't be in charge much longer, and we will discuss a little bit of that in a minute. And all of that. Ole's job is safe as houses, as the Glazers have shares in various YouTube channels. Lol. Oh my. Look, I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job is actually safe. I don't believe it whatsoever. I think he's going to be gone by Christmas. I just think United are doing what they can to delay the process, just seeing if they can get a yes man in because they don't want to get an actual elite manager in. We're going to lose so many players because of Ole, man manager, and my arse. Look, I agree with that. I don't think Ole will be here by January. I just can't see him turning around. But if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer finishes the season with Manchester United, Donny's gone. Pogba's gone. Matic is retiring. So that's 3 of our key midfielders. So if Donny, Matic and Pogba goes, the only people that can play in the pivot are McTominay and Fred. So no matter if we sign the CDM, one of McTominay and Fred's going to have to start every game next season. Because United won't sign more than one midfielder. It's the Glazers, guys. Do you know what I mean? So that's the first situation. The second is Cavani retires. If we stick with Ole, we probably won't get top 4, so Ronaldo's gone. Martial's fallen out of Ole, he's gone. And that's 3 strikers. So only striker left is Greenwood. And there are only 3 attackers are now then Greenwood, Rashford, Sancho, and then you've got Amad Diallo on the bench. You know, we've gone from one of the best squads in the world to losing 3 key strikers, 3 key midfielders, and Eric Bailly and Jesse Lingard as bench players if Ole stays. And we're looking at, again, a fat rebuild. Can you think the Glazers are going to bring in 5 players in the summer? No. So then we'll be saying, oh, we need another 3 years to rebuild the squad. So we've just gone through a 3-year rebuild process, now got a squad good enough to win a Premier League title, now got a squad good enough to win the Champions League, but we don't want to sack our manager, you know, so we stick with the same incompetent manager throughout the whole season, only for all the good players to leave, all the key players to leave, and then for Manchester United to go back to square one and say, oh, we need another rebuild again. Because that's what could happen if we stick with Ole. And sometimes I just, the thing is that infuriates me. Diego says, former Manchester United midfielder Bastian Schweinsteiger says he's unsure if the club will achieve success under manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I think a lot of us agree with that. I think a lot of us agree with that. And Neville is the only one who believes in Ole, lol. And I said this on Twitter not that long ago. I said, to be fair, though, do you think Gary Neville would give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a job at Salford? Because Salford City sat managers like that. But, you know, do you think after what Ole's done at Man United, they're going to say, oh, look, come manage Salford I wouldn't want, I know Salford's a different level to United, but obviously looking at Ole's record, not convinced what he's done at Cardiff. The football we're playing at Manchester United is a disgrace. If I'm managing a lower league club, I ain't giving Ole a job, even though he's come from a Premier League club. I know that sounds horrible. I wouldn't. Do you think Gary Neville would employ Ole at Salford? I don't think he really would. I think he's just backing Ole because he's his friend. Or he's just deluded. We need to get Sancho and Van der Beek gain playing time. 100,000,000,000% agree with this comment. If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's 99%, it's 99% likely that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to be manager for the Watford game. Whether you like it or not, there's a 99% chance Ole will be manager for the Watford game. But if you want Ole to start and you guys want to see Jadon Sancho and Donny van de Beek start versus Watford, smash a like on the video. If you want to see something different from Ole, you want to see something different from Manchester United that involves Donny van de Beek, that involves Jadon Sancho starting in the game, smash a like on the video because I do. By the way, guys, please do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're not subscribed to the channel as well. I do daily Manchester United content on the channel. There's lots of news about Zidane and Brendan Rodgers, and I'm going to be keeping you up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news throughout the transfer window throughout the next few weeks. I'll also be doing a watch along to Manchester United versus Watford at the weekend and a match reaction after full time, and there will be a match preview out on Friday night. So for daily live streams, keeping you up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and updates, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Every sub means the world. We're trying to hit 25,000 subscribers by the end of 2021, which I know is an ambitious goal. But if everyone watching that's not subscribed wants to subscribe because they like the content, they're a Man United fan, please do subscribe because we are on the road to 25k. And the Glazers shouldn't be about Ole, but the news should be about Ole, but the Glazers. I agree. Look, at the end of the day, if someone gave me an offer, there was 2 buttons. There was button A and there was button B. And button A meant that the Glazers are gone by the end of the season, but Ole stays for another. Ole stays for another year at least, and we have to go down to the Championship. If button A said we keep Ole to the end of the season, we go down to the Championship, but it means the Glazers sell the club. Or button B means we get a new elite manager in now, but the Glazers are going to stay for another 10 years at least. I'd press button A. I generally would. And that might sound crazy, but if I had a choice of us getting relegated, but the Glazers will be gone and ambitious owners will come in, or Ole getting sacked right now and an elite manager coming in, I would generally go long term, even though it's a short term project and we have the squad to win the trophies. I would generally think about long term. I think, you know what, we'll go to the Championship because within 3-4 years we'll be the Manchester United we're meant to be, and I would press that button to go to the Championship and get rid of the Glazers rather than get an elite manager in to replace Ole right now. I absolutely would. And Saragon says tactically a shit show, squad selection shit show, motivation plays shit show, forward playing, you guessed it, shit show. And Is Rodgers confirmed? What about Zidane? Has he been told? Rodgers isn't like United manager. Basically, the Manchester Evening News have just said, look, like that Manchester United have basically indicated Rodgers as Ole's replacement. Samuel Luckhurst, Manchester Evening News have said, look, Manchester United believe Ole needs to be sacked, and Rodgers is the man they want to replace him with. That is sort of the latest on that situation. Just smash a like. I'm just gonna take a quick sip of water. But yeah, the source caught offside. Okay, I'm just gonna read out the story quickly. We're on the topic of Rodgers and all that, but the source caught offside. Is it the most reliable job in the world? Is it the most reliable journalist in the world? Blah blah blah. No, I'm not too familiar with the source caught offside, but they said that Brendan Rodgers met with the Glazers approximately 3 weeks ago. So we're hearing that Brendan Rodgers has spoken to the Glazers. We're hearing that Brendan Rodgers met with the Glazers. We're hearing that Brendan Rodgers has been targeted by the board as Ole's successor, and Manchester United will go for Brendan Rodgers and have decided Brendan Rodgers will be next manager once Ole's sacked. We're hearing from Graham Bailey that Brendan Rodgers will say yes to the Manchester United job. We're hearing from a lot of sources, and they're all English sources. So you could say PR spin, Man United, blah blah blah. Very likely that is the case. But a lot of sources saying Rodgers has spoke to United. United want Rodgers. When Solskjaer sacked, Rodgers is the one. I believe, even though I think a lot of this could be PR spin, I think a lot of these sources could be saying bull. I do believe that if we sack Ole, we will be going for Brendan Rodgers over Zinedine Zidane. Now, there is a bit of talk about Zinedine Zidane, and I will say what's been said about Zinedine Zidane, but I still solely believe that Brendan Rodgers would be United priority over Zinedine Zidane. Court offside also said there's ongoing discussions right now between Manchester United and Brendan Rodgers over agreeing a date where he can take over as manager of the club. Rodgers met with the Glazers approximately 3 weeks ago. So court offside also say that apparently we are currently right now in talks with Brendan Rodgers, talking about when he can come as manager and place Ole, and apparently we've been in meetings with him for 3 weeks. Again, not the most reliable source. Do take it with a pinch of salt, but I am reading out what's been said, and that does link in with what Graham Bailey said, with what the Manchester Evening News has said, and a lot of sources saying there has been contact with Rodgers, but most importantly, I want to go with what Samuel Luckhurst and the Manchester Evening News have said, because they are a lot more credible compared to the other journalists. They're saying that United do like Brendan Rodgers. He is their first choice. And I do believe that. I will talk about the Zinedine Zidane news, guys, because obviously, Zidane could come to Manchester United. I personally don't believe the Zidane news, but it has come from some reliable sources. And I believe, as I said earlier, right at the beginning of the video, we know that Conte didn't want to come to Spurs and in the summer, and he rejected Spurs. And all of a sudden, 2 months later, he wants the Spurs job. So I think even though we know that Zidane doesn't really want the Manchester United job, he can easily change his mind like Conte does. So this is why I talk about Zidane news while I'm on the topic of it. And this has come from Duncan Castles on the Transfer podcast. He said that Zinedine Zidane is interested in becoming Manchester United manager and looking at the prospect of doing so. It's something that intrigues him. The move is a live consideration for him. So Duncan Castles says that Zidane's actually considering and wants to, be United manager. He says that Manchester United are taking their time over making a change in manager because they want to have someone in place when they dismiss Solskjaer. Duncan Castles said the reason Solskjaer hasn't been sacked, the reason we're taking time to sack Ole is because the minute they sack Ole, they want to have a replacement in. They don't want an interim manager. They want their next long-term replacement in as soon as they sack Ole. Duncan Castles then follows it up by saying Manchester United have made progress in their attempts to persuade Zidane to succeed Solskjaer. He said that Zidane is attracted to the opportunity of managing Cristiano Ronaldo and Rafael Varane, but his wife is not keen on it for now. And that's what's come out from Duncan Castles. Now, look, Duncan Castles in the Mourinho day was quite a reliable journalist. And he's not a bad journalist, but I think he's not someone that I listen to and go, boom, he's right. He's not a Fabrizio Romano where I listen to it and I'm like, boom, this is happening. Do you know what I mean? So again, I just think maybe there is talk with Zidane, but I think maybe this is a bit of PR. I think realistically, I think it's Brendan Rodgers is so more likely than Zidane. Do you know what I mean? Christian Falk did say, now Christian Falk is a very reliable journalist when it comes to certain news, but Christian Falk is a journalist that's very hit and miss. Surrounding the Bundesliga, Christian Falk's really reliable. He was the first. Bild and Christian Falk were the first on the Jadon Sancho story, and then Romano got a lot of his information from Christian Falk about the Jadon Sancho situation. Christian Falk is a reliable journalist, but again, he did say we're going to get Kanaloku. We didn't. He's very much good for the Bundesliga, but I don't think particularly good outside the Bundesliga. Christian Falk said that Manchester United had the idea of bringing in Zinedine Zidane as their new manager. However, Zidane told the board that he doesn't feel ready to move to the Premier League at the moment and would prefer to take a break from management. Now, this is what I find really interesting, because Fabrizio Romano came out and said that Manchester United have actually never contacted Zidane, whereas Christian Falk says, look, Zidane told Man United he's not ready for a Premier League job, which would mean United would have contacted him if Zidane said that. So you've got two reliable journalists absolutely contradicting themselves. You've got Fabrizio Romano saying, look, we've not made contact with Zidane. Nothing's happening as of now. But he said, look what Conte and Spurs did. Anything can happen. Anything's possible. Zidane can change his mind, but I believe he doesn't want the Manchester United job. And then you have Christian Falk, who says that, United contacted Zidane, but Zidane doesn't really want the job. So have United contacted Zidane or not? Because if we've actually contacted Zidane, then that would link up with the news that came from Samuel Luckhurst saying that Manchester United privately agreed that Solskjaer needs to be sacked after the Manchester City game. If we have contacted Zidane and Christian Falk is true, then it would basically mean what Samuel Luckhurst was saying about Manchester United actually privately deciding after the Manchester City loss it's time for Solskjaer to go. Then that would be true, because we've been contacting managers. And that would mean what Samuel Luckhurst is saying about Manchester United identifying Brendan Rodgers as the choice, and all the other reports about Manchester United actually trying to get Rodgers in or trying to get this manager in, and Manchester United prepared to sack OLE would be true. But we don't know which is true, Fabrizio or Christian Falk. And if you realistically, if you have a choice of believing Christian or you have a choice of believing Fabrizio, everyone picks Fabrizio because he is the Don of transfers. So again, it's another interesting situation. But I did think I'd touch upon that, guys. Guys, smash a like on the video if you were Glazers out. If you want these Glazer virus owners out of our club, if you want the owners gone, you got to smash a like on the video. Glazers out on this channel. I mean, if you're a Manchester United fan and you're Glazers in, are you a Manchester United fan? Realistically. So all of you guys that are watching the Glazers out, smash a like on the video. We need 170 more likes to hit our target of 500 likes. It's going to be absolutely crazy, but we've got over 400 people watching. And so if 170 of the 400 of you guys watching hit that like button, we can hit our 500 like target, which is a mad ass, but please, all you've got to do is hit that like button. It costs nothing. And if you are new to the channel, do subscribe, by the way, if you want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, content, and updates. Well, not only will I be updating you on all the latest Manchester United news surrounding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, his future, giving you the latest on Brendan Rodgers, Zinedine Zidane. Obviously, the transfer window's up and coming, and I will tell you everything that's going on in the transfer window if anything happens in January. But I also will be doing a watch-along for Manchester United versus Watford at the weekend. And because of the heavy fixture list coming up, there's going to be a watch-along, guys, basically every 3 days. I'm literally going to be live doing a watch-along every 3 days and a match reaction and a match preview on top of transfer news. So much content to come. I know it's been a bit dry on the channel over the last 2 weeks with international break. Well, actually, really hasn't, to be fair. But lots and lots of content to come as well. So do subscribe. Ollie don't like Van der Beek. I think Van der Beek's Ollie's favourite. Don't know what you're on about. I think Ollie likes Van der Beek more than he likes Scott McTominay. I don't think Ollie wanted to sign Van der Beek. Why would he buy a player and just not play him? Another Woodward signing for sales? Maybe, but apparently this is the thing. When we, I remember reporting on us signing Van der Beek, and the story was when we signed Van der Beek that Ollie had actually personally rung up Van der Beek and convinced him to come. So why would Ollie do that if he didn't want Van der Beek? Again, I just think. But, because we know Ollie wants Sancho. We knew Ollie wanted Sancho, and he's not playing Sancho. So part of me just thinks, it's just one of these with United. It's just United being United. It's not United being, it's Ollie being Ollie, where you get to player, oh, no, it's not working after 2 games. Doesn't want to give them a chance and goes back to what he knows. Goes back to favourites FC. We'll beat Watford, lose to Villarreal, get annihilated by Chelsea and Arsenal, and nothing will change. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, but I just think Ollie is on thin ice. I really believe Ollie is on thin ice. I mean, we're in a situation where he didn't get sacked after Leicester, Watford, and Manchester City, and we're like, what does he have to do to be sacked? He's never going to be sacked. If he can't get sacked off that performance, are they ever going to sack him? If he can't get sacked off that result, are they ever going to sack him? I feel like that's what a lot of people feel about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But I solely do believe that Ollie is on thin ice at Manchester United. I do believe. Get Alice's channel to 1 trillion subscribers by Xmas. I mean, look, guys, if we can hit 25k by Xmas, 25k on the 25th of December, that would be incredible. Obviously, that means me gaining 1.5k in the next month. But all it takes is for everyone watching that's not subscribed to subscribe, because that would be the goal. The goal was 21,000 by the end of 2021, and we've already hit that. So my ambitious goal now is to hit 25,000 subscribers by Christmas, if not the end of the year. So please do subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed, because that would be absolutely crazy. Like, imagine that. And it's funny how Martial isn't even talked about anymore. By far our best winger, in my opinion. Martial, okay, he scored in his last game for Manchester United. Martial, I said this, Martial is on his day a better player than Marcus Rashford. Martial's a player that's not getting game time, that's lacking confidence, and did have a bad season last year. I'm not Martial FC. I'm not one of those people that suck Martial's balls or any of that. But I solely believe that Martial's a really good player. I actually think I like Martial, and people said sell him in the summer after one bad season. I know what Martial can do. We all know what Martial can do. We just need to find that Martial. Well, I thought we did find that after he scored and he played really, really well in his last game. Then OLE hasn't played him since, and it's like, wait, Martial's man of the match in his last game, he can't play. Donny's man of the match in his last game, he can't play. I think Martial is a victim of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer system. I think a new manager in, an elite manager in, I think we'll be seeing Martial get used. If Martial went to Dortmund, let's say Dortmund sell Haaland and they get Martial to replace him. I know it's the Bundesliga. I do believe Martial will be successful. I see a lot of people clicking off now and saying that. I rate Martial. I really, really do, and I always have. Latest Man United woman 1, Man City 1 will come on the United woman. And I was hoping Ralf Rangnick would be our next manager. Rangnick ain't going to happen, guys. I wanted Rangnick. I was hoping for Rangnick as maybe interim manager. Obviously, my ideal first choice manager would be Erik ten Hag. I think a lot of people's ideal first choice manager would be Ten Hag. But I was sitting there thinking, I'd like Rangnick. I take Rangnick. Obviously, that's not going to happen because Manchester United believe, although Rangnick's a good manager, although Manchester United have looked at Rangnick in the past, they believe Rangnick will be hard to work with. The reason we didn't get Ralf Rangnick, even though he wanted the job, it was very, very obvious with the things that come out, and he would take the job. United were like, no. Rangnick is going to demand stuff. Rangnick's going to demand stuff. He's going to want stuff. He's going to want money. He's going to want new coaches. He's going to know that this board ain't run properly. He's going to know that we're not a properly run club. We can't have that happening. So that's why we didn't get Rangnick. We want a yes man. United love Ole. Like Mourinho got sat for less right now. Van Gaal got sat for less. United love Ole because, first of all, pundits like Gary Neville, and when you look at Gary Neville, he's on Sky. Sky is bigger than I think any other sort of thing in the UK in terms, it's the biggest TV channel for views in football. Gary Neville's the Man United face of Sky, along with Roy Keane, but Gary Neville's that one that does a lot more. And they're like, well, he's not getting exposed on Sky, the biggest TV channel. The Glazers are like, tick, if Gary likes him, it's good for us. They go, well, he's only going to Solskjaer, he's an ex-club legend, so some people will never turn on him because he played for the club. Tick. They go, oh, he's out of his depth at this club. He's never going to get a better job, so he's going to do anything we ask. He's not going to disclose us. Tick. He's going to say yes to everything we want because it's his dream to be here. Tick. So the Glazers absolutely love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Absolutely love him. And they're like that. We won't sack him unless he mathematically can't get top 4. As long as if he can get top 4, we'll never have to sack him because they love him. Because Mourinho, Van Gaal, all exposed the club. All said the club was run by idiots. All said that everything wasn't good enough. And United don't like that. United want a manager that's going to be like, oh yay, thanks for the job, like a thank you person. But it's good to say please and thank you. But they want someone that's going to be like, thanks, like a suck up, like a teacher's pet. And Ole's like that teacher's pet. And that's why they like Ole. And maybe Ole being their teacher's pet, maybe that's why Ole plays McTominay, Maguire and Fred, because maybe McTominay, Maguire and Fred are teacher's pets to Ole. And Ole goes, well, they're my favourites, so, I can't drop them. So, we are Friends FC as well. Ole employs his friends. No CV. No good CV in football. Only been relegated to their previous clubs. Right, come coach the Man United team with me. What kind of manager does that? Well, you got relegated your last 2 clubs. Oh, but you seem nice. Come coach Man United with me. Come be one of the men of my staff. Come be my staff because you seem nice. Don't care that you failed at all your other clubs. Come be staff at Manchester United. It's Friends FC. It's the environment we're making. And I sometimes sit there and I laugh at this Man United environment. It's Friends FC, blah, blah. No, it's not. It's United. You're a football club. We need to win. Why are we all going on about, employ our friends, all of that? If we lose to Arsenal and Chelsea, he's gone. If we lose to Watford, he has to go. There's going to be outrage, but especially if he loses to Arsenal and Chelsea. I mean, I'm going to the Palace game in 2.5 weeks. I tell you what, I hope Ole ain't manager because I'm going to Old Trafford and I don't want to go to Old Trafford to watch what we've been watching. I mean, I do. I'd always go and watch Man United. I'll never not watch Man United, but I don't want Ole to be there for the Palace game because Vieira's doing a good job. Palace are playing some good football, and I generally believe we will lose to Crystal Palace with Ole as manager because it's a new manager that Ole won't know nothing about. A manager that's done well against Arteta and doing well, and I just feel like we'll go to Old Trafford and see shit. So yeah, no, I do hope Ole's gone. Everybody like and subscribe, as Noah Jurgens said, and let's reach 25 subscribers. And Ralph or Brendan, Alice? Oh, you know what? That's a really good question. I think I would go, and people are going to laugh at me and think I'm mad. I think Ralph Rangnick is better, and I think he's a better fit for United. But the reason I take Brendan Rodgers over Ralph Rangnick would be because Brendan Rodgers has just that Premier League experience, I think. Which, you know, they said, oh, Pep won't do it, he doesn't have that experience. Tuchel won't, Klopp won't. Maybe, no, I think I'll go with Rangnick. Actually, yeah, I think I'll go with Rangnick. But good question. Let me scroll down because I'm like 10 minutes behind on comments. So yeah. Arteta in charge of us and he'd win us the league. I remember when was it Paul Ince? No, it was Ian Wright that said that. So yeah, Ranieri to outclass Ole. Well, Ranieri's got a Premier League as a manager. Ole ain't. Ole's got a squad that can win a Premier League, but Ranieri got a Premier League with a squad that we thought were going to get relegated. That's the difference between Ranieri and Ole. And Dean Smith's new job going down the off license for Delilah. And you never walk alone. Right. That's my thoughts on Liverpool. Let's get back into the content. Zidane has never even spoke to Man United, according to Fabrizio Romano from United Stand. You talk a lot of shit. This channel is shit. Thank you for the comment. Very much appreciated. I said that Fabrizio Romano said that we never spoken to him, so you need to listen. I said that Fabrizio Romano said we never spoken to him, but I said that Christian Fox said that we did. So cheers for that. And smash a like on it. Let's get to 400 likes. 400 likes. How many likes have we got? 300 or something. So if we can get 400 likes, that would be very much appreciated. Ole doesn't deserve the Watford game, says Gaz. Facts. Facts? Like, he doesn't. He should. I mean, he should have been sacked after Leicester. But you thought, okay, look, maybe it's a one-off. He 1,000,000% should have been sacked after Liverpool. No manager should survive that. Losing 5-0 at home to your arch rivals with a squad that's meant to be winning the Premier League. Disgrace. He didn't get sacked after Liverpool, which was a disgrace in itself. But that performance versus Manchester City, we could have beat Manchester City 1-0 and our one shot on target goes in and Eric Bailly doesn't score their own goal and De Gea actually saves the chance he could have saved. And we could have beat Manchester City 1-0. And I'd still be saying he should be sacked even after beating Man City 1-0 because that performance against Manchester City was an absolute disgrace. Absolute disgrace. I mean, I just looked at it and I thought, what are we watching? What are we watching? Be prepared for Gallagher to mug off McFred. I mean, Gallagher's doing really, really well for Crystal Palace. Palace will do us. I mean, look, we got after Watford, it's Chelsea, Arsenal, Palace. So Watford's the only game I confidently think we'll win. I think Watford are really bad that we should win. I know we're awful. I know we're playing awful under Ole, but I think Watford is so bad that we should beat Watford. They're like a Norwich. Okay, we should beat Watford. But I'm not gonna confidently say we'll beat Chelsea. I think we'll get outplayed by Chelsea. I think Arsenal will beat us because Arteta's a thing over Ole, and I think Crystal Palace will beat us. And that's the 3 games after Watford. So we've got to watch us lose another 3 games and be shit for another 3 games for our manager to go, because it's like it comes in threes. You know how they say everything comes in threes. It's like we've had our first bad spell, and then you got 3 games to save his job, but because we've got a draw and a win, he saved his job. It's like, so that's the second bad spell. It's like he's got to have a third bad spell, a third atrocious spell, and hit rock bottom for the 3rd time this season for him to be sacked, because everything comes in threes. Rodgers has experience of not finishing above Ole in the league, dropping 14-point lead on United. Yeah, that's a solid point as well. I'd still take Rodgers. I would still take Rodgers over Ole. I'd still take Rodgers over Ole. Darren says 619 for 1K likes. I mean, that's a little bit ambitious. But you know what? If you're watching right now, we've got 400 people watching. Do smash that like button. We're going for 500 likes. Now, I don't know if we're going to get 500 likes by the end of the stream, but maybe an hour or 2 after the video is published. Do smash that like button, though. Of course. And Leicester got relegated, came back up and won the league. I mean, look, Ole could get us relegated, but I wouldn't guarantee you that Ole would win the championship and then come back up and win the league. What about Zidane? Can he be United's new coach? Says Gould. Look, Fabrizio said there's been no contact. Christian Folk said there'd been contact. Some sources saying that he wants the job. I think it's Brendan Rodgers. I think if Brendan Rodgers become available, it's one of those two. I think if we keep Ole to the summer, maybe Ten Hag. But I think we want Poch. I think we want Brendan Rodgers. I think we're waiting for them to become available. I think that is the situation at Manchester United. I don't think Zidane really wants the job, and I don't think United really want Zidane. Zidane is a character. He's a personality in a sense of he will challenge the board. He will want money, and I don't think that's what Manchester United want. I'd want him, but you've got to remember who owns us. You've got to remember who owns us. Watford may have a new manager bounce, yes, but they are crap. But you make a good point. Zidane does want the job now. He's changed his mind. Alice or Rodgers, it would be okay. I mean, look, there's reports that Zidane's changed his mind and wants the job. That's come from Duncan Castles, but I'm going to listen to Fabrizio Romano over Duncan Castles. But yeah, look, Zidane could happen. We saw Conte change his mind with Tottenham. We saw Conte reject Tottenham, not want Tottenham, and then Conte's changed his mind, and Conte now works at Tottenham. So there was reports that Zidane didn't want United. We could very easily see Zidane change his mind and go, F it, I want the United job as well. So again, yeah, you never know. And Mr. Randomizer says Zidane won't do nothing with his club. CR7 got titles in Real Madrid. No one else did. Is Zidane a good manager, or was he carried by Cristiano Ronaldo? And Ollie wrote the bus off and pushing it at its best, says Darren. And you're not screaming for that other trophy Poch Dodger Poch. I don't want Pochettino. I like Poch. He's improvement Ollie. I don't want Pochettino. But what I'm saying is the board, the owners, the Glazers, they would want Pochettino. Nuno is better than Ollie, yes, but I wouldn't take Nuno at United. I do not want Nuno. And Rodgers greater than Ollie. Facts. Look, whether you like Brendan Rodgers or not, with this squad, I think we'd see better football and get better results under Brendan Rodgers than we are doing with Ollie. Now, I think most managers would be playing better football with this squad than Ollie, because I think Ollie, I don't see how this squad can be playing so badly when you look at this squad. I just go, it has to be the coaches. It has to be the manager. And that's why I think a lot of us want Ollie out. It's not because it's anything to do with Ollie. It's just to think, you look at this squad and you're going, they're performing like this. They're playing like this. It's mind-boggling. The football we're playing is absolutely atrocious. And I sometimes sit here and laugh. 90 likes needed for 500 likes, guys. I'm going to wrap up the live stream now. I'm just going to do a little quick summary for 2 minutes. So keep smashing that like button. We've got 350 watches. So keep smashing that like button. Only 90 likes needed for 500 likes. So keep doing that. See if we can get that by the end of the video. It costs nothing to hit the like button. By the way, if you're not subscribed to Alice Talks Football, it would be very much appreciated if you do subscribe to the channel. If you're watching my content, you like me, and you want to stay up to date with daily Manchester United live streams, live around 7 p.m. pretty much every evening, do subscribe. As I said earlier, there's a very, very heavy fixture list coming up. And, we're at the end of the international break, and we've got matches nearly every 3 games. So there's going to be 2 to 3 watch-alongs a week on the channel, as well as news updates, keeping you up to date on all the latest to do with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Eric Ten Hag, Zidane, Pochettino, Brendan Rodgers, any news that comes out on that front, as well as match previews, match reactions, watch-alongs. So much to come on the channel, so much content that's going to come out now, because, again, as I said earlier, as we celebrated earlier, no more international breaks till March. So do subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed to stay up to date with that. But thank you everybody for tuning in to today's live stream. Yeah, I'm gonna end the live now. But as I said earlier, guys, there's news about Zinedine Zidane from Duncan Castles. But as Fabrizio Romano said, there's not really been any contact that he's aware of. But we know that anything could happen in football. There's news and there's lots of reports from lots of journalists that Man United have pretty much identified that Brendan Rodgers will be their first choice replacement for Ollie, and Brendan Rodgers is the man they want. But when will Ollie be sacked? Will he be sacked? Will he make it to the end of the season? I think unless he starts playing attacking football and drops McFred, which I can't see him doing, I think he will be gone by Christmas. But, it's all about time. We have to wait and see what happens. But that's all that's been going on in today's video. So, yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. See you next time. Bye.